In the last two episodes, we talked about speaking up for ourselves, our businesses, and the impact that we want to create as Caribbean women founders and leaders. And we also talked about how to develop the skills to do that. But as I reviewed those episodes, and I also reviewed the conversations that I had with the wonderful guests that we've had on the podcast in this season, I felt like there was another more fundamental question that we have not yet answered. And I want to answer that question today. The question is, what actually is our voice? And why is it important? And I know that the question may seem like it has a pretty basic answer, but I think the answer is much more layered. So let's get started. Is it possible to build a high impact business without sacrificing your well-being? The Island Woman podcast is the companion to Caribbean founders and leaders who are replacing hustle with authority. Hi, I'm Dianne Squires, aka Dianne, an island woman and founder of Dianne Squires Consulting. Let's explore how to sharpen your voice, target your visibility, and maximize your economic impact, all through the lens of a big and simple life. Welcome to the Island Woman podcast. From my point of view, there are three levels to voice. Now, obviously, if you're listening to me now, you can hear me because there's air traveling through my vocal cords and it produces a sound. I am blessed with the ability to be able to create that sound, as many of us are. There's some who aren't. But that is one natural way, even if you could not see me right now, even if you don't see me right now, you can hear me. That is a signal that I am here and that I exist. That's layer one. I am here, I exist. Level two, a voice. Figuratively, when we speak of voice, we're talking about a sense of conviction, our beliefs, our perspectives, our world view. It's a way of saying, this is what I think, and this is why I matter. That's level two. This is what I think, and this is why I matter. And the third level is about expression. Voice in this sense is about how you speak or how you write. It's about your style and your sense of expressing your ideas to others. It's saying to the world, this is who I am. It establishes connection with other people who like who you are. So that's level three of voice. To recap, the three levels that I think of voice on is that audible sound that says, hey, I'm here, I exist. The second is figurative, which is, hey, this is what I think and this is why I matter. And the third is, hey, this is who I am. This is my personality. Let's connect if you like it. Together, those three layers of voice create something really powerful, and it's influence. And influence simply is the ability to affect change. There are obviously other ways to affect change, but voice on those three levels is one of them. Take that away and you take away or you cheat yourself of having more influence or as much influence as you would like to have. And this is why it's important, because if you are building a business or you are trying to champion a cause and you eliminate your audible voice, your this is what I think and this is why it matters, and you eliminate this is my personality and this is how I connect, you are diminishing how much you can achieve. And so if we do have big ambitions, we don't want to be working against them and diminishing what we can achieve. So this is when I talk about voice and visibility and impact. Specifically thinking about voice, this is what I mean. It is using those layers to create influence. And I want us to think about a really good example of how we in the Caribbean have been influenced through voice. And it's through media. We get the voices of people who are in North America or Europe, what I would call the big media powers, at least traditionally, the big media powers. So we've got an decades, those voices of this is who we are and this is what we think and this is what matters and this is who we are as a people. And we have consumed those messages so much that it's influenced how we live, what we think of our traditions, what we think about ourselves, whether that's positive or negative, but we can't deny the influence there. But what happens when we turn that around? And when we say, like Carrie Birch said in her episode, you can go back and look at that. Carrie Birch, who is one of the co-founders of 13 Degrees North Productions, a TV and film production company. She talked about Caribbean people telling our own stories and that being important because she has seen and she accommodates and works with international companies who come into the Caribbean to tell stories from the Caribbean. And obviously they're coming from other perspectives, not our own. And so the influence still remains outside of us. Or Jackie Chambers de Freitas, VP at Salesforce, one of the biggest tech companies in the world, who, as a Caribbean woman in the C-suite in Salesforce, says she has to navigate, maybe sounding too aggressive because as a Caribbean or woman of Caribbean descent, maybe she is very passionate about the views that she has to express and how that may be taken. But also talking about using her own voice to reflect back to others. This is who I am. I did it. I'm also like you and you could do it too. Or like Simply Ashera, a skincare formulator based in Barbados, who talked about reflecting or bringing those traditions of what we use on our skin in the Caribbean or as people of African and Caribbean descent, what we use on our faces to make them glow and to make them feel good. She's referencing those and talking about them through her writing and through the promotion of those products and saying to the world, look, we have some great ingredients here and actually less is more. We don't need the 10-step routine. What happens when collectively many, many more of us start to voice the opinions and the perspectives? We start to be heard, so we're audible and we signal that we're here. And what if we now are saying to the world, hey, this is who I am. This is my personality. Deal with it. This is how I connect. We don't want to diminish what we can achieve by taking away some of the greatest, most powerful and natural tools that we have. And I want to put in a word here for those of us who are introverted. It's one thing to be heard. And you know that we will make the argument, empty vessels make the most noise. But there's an argument as well for being heard where it matters. And for those of us who are introverts and prefer to say less, again, less is more, we know that we articulate those perspectives and those opinions in the places where it matters. We don't need to be seen and heard any and everywhere, but we pick and we choose based on how much impact it can actually make. I also want to say here, if you have an opinion to give visibility and voice specifically in the workplace and in business, I want you to share that in the Workplace Voice and Visibility Survey that is ongoing. This is a survey that I constructed. It is just 4 questions, takes you 3 minutes or less, and is completely anonymous. So share your ideas by taking the quick survey because we're going to look at that in the next season. And also, if you want a structured way to start guiding your voice, join the waitlist for Executive Voice Lab. It is 30 days of guided practice in shaping your own voice. Not only the sound that you make, but what you say when you make that sound and how you connect with people when you make those sounds. So if you're interested in shaping your voice and doing so strategically and building the habit of being able to speak up for influence, Join the waitlist for Executive Voice Lab. I'm going to leave the links for both Executive Voice Lab and the Workplace Voice and Visibility Survey in the first pinned comment on YouTube and in the show notes and in the YouTube description. So check those out, take the survey, sign up for the waitlist. So that really is it for now. How could we end the season without saying what actually is our voice and why is it important? We build influence and we can start to create the change that we want to see when we say, I'm here, this is what I think, and this is why I matter, and this is who I am. If you have made it through to the end of this episode, thank you so much for taking the time. As usual, if you like this on YouTube, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, like, comment, share. It's all free. And if you've listened to this on any of the podcast platforms, please do leave us a review and comment. We would love to hear what you think about this season of the Island Woman podcast and what you think about any episode that you have, some kind of a burning opinion on. Use your voice. Share it with us. So until next time, I'm Dianne Squires, aka Dianne. Peace.